folks. Well, we had a nice little pod all buttoned up for you. It's actually already out there in the world. Talking about Hall, Timmins, Coach's Man, Samsonov, and then all hell broke loose at 11 p.m. That's right. Kyle Dubas is all in. No rentals, right? Well, anyways, we're going to break it all down for you right here.
You're in the offensive zone. Your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey folks, welcome to the OZone. That's Coach. That's Katie. I'm the Debo, here to talk all things Leafs. I'm coming to you from Toronto. OZone HQ. Coach, where are you at today?
Hey fellas, I'm flying to Europe. Thank goodness I didn't go yesterday because we needed to be here for this pod. I'm in the U.S. headquarters. Whoa, big day today.
Big day. Katie, how's the east side treating you?
Sun is out, skies are clear, no balloons, all good.
Beautiful. All right, before we get started, guys, I got to go through this. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, share, like the video with all your friends. We need to broaden the audience so we can bring more content to the world, and also leave a comment. We need it. We got some mailbag videos coming up, and we need your comments in order to fill them up. All right, listen, folks. A pretty slow day, I guess, in Leafland. Not really much to talk about. Wrong. If you're a loyal subscriber, you know that we have been saying for years, months, weeks, they got to go all in. This is it. They're running out of time with some of their stars. They got to go all in. And now, they've done it. This is what came out on the old Twitter world at about 11 p.m. Elliot Friedman fires this little bad boy up. I'm sure every one of you have heard about it by now. We've got O'Reilly coming to Toronto. This is exciting times. And we're going to get into it. Here's the trade. All the details right here. I'm splashing it on the screen. KD, let's start with you. What do you think of the trade?
Well, I guess, trading futures for rentals is actually is in vogue now. It's a bit of a 180 there. I like it. I like who they added. I've been talking about it for a while. Alleviating maybe Tavares' responsibilities. So I like the trade. Your bottom six got deeper. Your top six certainly better. You match up better against the big boys. You maybe have a forward core that matches up. You might be the only forward core that matches up against Boston now. So it's good.
Yeah, and just to double down on that point, KD, you've been harping for quite some time now that they need some net front presence, which they don't currently, or they didn't currently have. And I think O'Reilly really solves that a lot of that problem. Coach, what do you think about the old trade here?
Hey guys, it's a lot to give up, right? 4 picks. And if I was a guy who cared, a lot about the future and investing and stuff, I'd be really worried. But sitting here as I am in my double wide trailer here down in Texas, the coach does not think about the future. I'm not squirreling some stuff away. By the way, you folks in double wides, send your letters to the OZone headquarters in Toronto, okay? Your angry letters. Hey, look, we had to do something. We had to mortgage the future. We talked when Dubas came out and he said, I'm not willing to use a first-round pick on a rental. We said, that's a mistake. You have to be all in. That first-round pick is in the last third of the first round. That guy helps you in 4 or 5 years. It should be in play, and it is in play. So, I think we're going to get into it in a little bit. If that is going to be in play and you're going to sweeten it, should it be for a forward or for a defenseman? If it is for a forward, this is a pretty good fit. I think a lot of talk about O'Reilly maybe declining. Sure, he's declining. He's the same age as Tavares. Came out in the same draft. 4 years ago, he's the Conn Smythe winner. Last year he was fourth in Selke voting. So
Yeah.
he's doing something right. And his numbers are down this year. Fellas, he's playing on a line with Josh Levo. Do we remember Josh Levo? He's on their first line.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? So I like that we've talked a lot, mostly about the D, where if you acquire a guy, a legit high-level guy, it pushes everybody down a slot, and you get better that way. Your bottom gets better when your top improves, and it pushes people down. So all in all, I think it's great. We're way better today, the NHL, the big club roster, than it was yesterday. It didn't give anything. I don't know those two guys. I don't know. Gaudette, he's a point of game guy in the AHL. Never going to sniff it here, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like it. I do.
I agree. Abramov, Gaudette. We've seen Gaudette in a Leaf uniform before. These guys aren't going to do anything, at least not during the Matthews era, and we got to win during the Matthews era. First round pick, yeah, okay, that's an asset, as Coach said. Likely best chance of that blooming is 4 years from now. So anything can happen in 4 years, and a third and a second round pick, fourth round pick to get that double retrieval on O'Reilly's salary. Yeah, is it a lot of futures? Do I think it matters? No. And they still keep their powder dry in a lot of ways. We'll get into it a little bit later, but they still got Nyes available, Robertson available. Like they haven't really given up any of their, what you would say your Class A future.
Don't you feel, fellas, like Nyes especially was worth way more than that first that's coming up in this draft? Wouldn't you agree?
Not even close. And I think Nyes is the reason why you don't care about the rest of those draft picks. Because if you had 4 draft picks all in the first and second round, the chances are that you're going to have someone that's going to be able to perform with an adult in the next 2 years is what, 25%? Well, they've got the guy that they think that so I don't think they actually gave up that much. All right, so we hit on the main part of the trade. Let's get into this detail a little bit. We've added so much up front here. O'Reilly, Acciari. How does it all fit together? O'Reilly, where does he play? Is he center? Is he wing? Do you drop him onto the third line? KD, you're the forward guru. What do you do if you're the coach?
Well, I have said for a while, actually more than a year now, I actually would like to see Tavares moved over to the wing. I think you have the ability to do that now. You have a guy who just plays better defense, very similar type player, but a guy who plays better defense, and a guy I think who can work with Tavares down low and attack the net and play below the red line and do all that good stuff. So I like that on the second line. Plus, he's a rental. You paid a lot of futures. I don't like the idea of having him as your third line center. Like I just don't like that concept. You're given a lot. I think you stack the top two. Plus, you have this Acciari guy who can play a little bit, who has lots of playoff experience. So he's going to help flesh out the bottom six. And if you move O'Reilly up, you're gonna shovel someone down. It's probably gonna be Yarncroc. So great. Now your third line is just naturally going to be better with him on that third line. Now there's a couple nuances which are kind of neat. One, you have 2 of the top 10 best faceoff guys on the same line. It allows you to be really aggressive. So I actually see Tavares' numbers getting better because he might get kicked out of more faceoffs, but he should be more aggressive doing it, knowing the guy behind him is arguably better. So I think that's kind of interesting. I also, I think you have that potential of moving perhaps 16 back with 34 and creating back to the super line, and then moving Nylander back on with Tavares and O'Reilly. So, I think top 6 is really exciting now. Bottom 6 is better. So that I would look at it that way.
Yeah, I think those are all good points. It's interesting the way you were sort of mapping out what happens on the right wing. It'll be Keefe, I'm sure, will tinker for the next little bit. Certainly, even if you keep all things the same, and you have Tavares at center and O'Reilly doing a bit of a high-low thing in the slot, that's going to give Marner a ton of room to move around, I would think, or Nylander if they move the lines around. Coach, what do you think?
So a big part of why I like this is that it's done with 2 full weeks before the trade deadline. So you can mess around with all these different combinations and figure it out, right? I mean, The playoff spot is locked. You're either second or third. You play Tampa. I think everybody in Toronto and surrounding area loves this trade at this time, except maybe if you own a Tim Hortons drive-through. That might not be great. Look it up, folks. O'Reilly had a little trouble, had a couple pops, and crashed into a Tim Hortons 6-7 years ago. Hey, Brian, bygones are bygones. Welcome to the club. So look, here's what I'd do. I would keep that first line intact with Bunting, Matthews, Nylander. I don't mind Marner there either, and I think you're right. With O'Reilly being as defensively sound as he is, like part of the reason Marner's with Tavares is because Tavares struggles a bit defensively as compared to Matthews, right? So you could do that. I would play O'Reilly on that second line. And this gives you 25 games to figure out whether Tavares plays at center and O'Reilly on the wing or vice versa. Yep. So we'll figure it out. And then I think, I reserve the right with leads in games to have O'Reilly go play third line center, and that's a lockdown too. The bottom 6 I'd have is Kerfoot in between Yarncroc and Acciari. Let's see what that guy can do. Your fourth line is way better than it has been forever, right? You've got David Kampf in the middle. You've got Aston Reese on one side and Engvall on the other. Engvall playing the fourth line minutes that really he should. He's a tremendous fourth line player, just not a second line player, maybe not third. So how solid is that, fellas? That's pretty darn solid. And we need that because if you think about Tampa, we're never going to put a guy in the crease that's as good as their guy. Look, we're getting out goaltended, okay? The defense... Our defense has been solid this year, even though it's been under fire, lots of injuries. I don't think it's quite there, but Tampa's defense is pretty good there. I don't know, sort of even either way. Needed to upgrade either the defense or the forwards. Now we've upgraded the forwards. I think if you look at that, the way it's stacked up against Tampa, we're deeper. I like it. I mean, it gives us more of a fighting chance, which we didn't have yesterday.
Yeah, and let's get back to what we say a little bit about last year or at the beginning of this year. Keefe finally has a fourth line that he can put out for 10 or 12 minutes a game rather than 8 or 7, which he was. So I think that's a huge difference. Like
David Kampf,
that'll help. Yeah.
Awesome. We all love him here at the OZone, right? Mm-hmm. 4 goals. Got 4 goals.
Yeah.
As your fourth line guy, we love it. Put him in the defensive zone all the time. No problem.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I just to double down on this, on what Coach said here, and also maybe pick up on what KD was saying. I think overall, Coach, you were saying the D has been okay this year. Really, it's less about the guys on the back end and how the team has been playing team defense.
Yeah.
These 2 guys they brought in are only going to make that. They're only going to make that better. That's doubling down on a strength. They should be able to control the puck more in the offensive zone, which is why they are good defensively. It's hard to get scored against when the puck's on the other side of the ice.
Debo, also, did you just go Howard Jones there? Things can only get better?
The other... Oh, mercy. The other thing about this, I'm going to throw this pick up here. I have it pretty similarly to Coach. A little bit different on the back end. I do like the idea if you're protecting a lead, particularly in the postseason, maybe sliding O'Reilly down to that third line, give you a bit of a different look. You can kind of tilt the ice a little bit and play a sort of more spread out defensive game.
Well,
That's
here I'll throw something in to defend a lead at the end. O'Reilly, Matthews, Marner.
Yeah.
That actually might be your best defensive group too.
And offensive group. All of a sudden, that looks a lot like Boston's top line too, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's true. They can play anywhere on the ice and beat you.
Yeah.
So,
we got to win a round, fellas. We got to win a round.
All right, let's wrap this thing up with one last topic. We talked a lot last pod about Dubas, what he might look to do, what he might look to upgrade. We all have been talking about for years, fellas, really for years, as a top 4D was priority number one. Obviously, Dubas went in a different direction. Coach, after this big move up front, is D still an upgrade that the Leafs need? Is this still in the cards? Is it possible? What do you think?
Yeah, two different answers, right? Is it still a need? Yeah, it is. Is it possible? I'm not sure it is, guys. So if you look at the way the cap is, you're going to send down maybe Joey Anderson, Jordy Ben. That frees you up. It gives you a total of about $2 million in cap to spend, which means you could go get a guy, right? You could go get a Gavrikov, and if they retain half, but he's just a guy. What we've been talking about forever is a legit top 4 guy that pushes everybody down. I don't know if that's possible unless you move NHL money out. So I think he's going to swing for it. In fact, I would have liked this package of picks to go for Chychrun instead of O'Reilly. I don't think it was sweet enough for Arizona, right? They wanted more than this. So I don't know if that a Chychrun trade is, but I think he's going to try. And so what that means is if you're a guy like Alex Kerfoot, who now is like your 5th best center, maybe, I wouldn't buy any green bananas. Just leave it at that.
Yeah. What do you think, KD?
Yeah, I think I'd love to see a move there too. I was interesting to throw a name out that maybe you can work similar to the Tampa Bay style, where you trade for a guy like Joel Edmondson and who's injured at the moment, and you bring him back right before the playoffs. But I think that's something that would be very compelling.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Listen, it's still a need. There's no question. As you said, Coach, it's still a need. At the end of the day, as it stands, you got Hull, Sandin, and Timmins potentially playing big minutes for you in the postseason. And to me, that is not great. Is there a move to be made? As I said at the top, they still got their powder dry. They have some big prospects out there. Nyes is still there. They have a first-round pick, I think, in 2024. That's still there if you really want to give up on the future. But as Coach said, no matter what you do, you're going to have to move NHL players out, because it doesn't matter how much retention you get on the back end. Even if you get a guy, a solid guy at 25%, you still can't fit that right now with the cap. So assets would have to move out. So it'll be very interesting to see if Dubas does pull off another move. Listen, he said he wasn't going to trade futures for rentals, and that clearly did not come to pass. So we'll see what happens. All right, folks, there you have it. Things are about to heat up in a hurry. Go get your O'Reilly jerseys. That wouldn't be so bad. As always, we've got you covered right here. Right here. We'll break all the stories here on the Ozone for you.
Old Mother Hubbard.